It's so good to see so many familiar faces, people I haven't seen in quite a while. One person I saw this morning. Colleen, it's good to see you again. Um, Jessica, you came back for more. It was so good seeing you in person last week.
Yeah, excited to be here.
Ah, some of this, actually, most of this is going to be pretty similar to what you heard, but it'll give you an opportunity to do an even deeper dive into your planning. So I'm so glad that you made it.
Thanks
Uh,
for having me.
of course. Welcome, Sarah, Heike. So good to see you. It's been a while. Thank you for coming. Jillian, too. Oh my goodness, I haven't seen you in quite some time. Welcome. Alyssa, love seeing you. Sorry to have missed you last week. We've got a couple of Europeans here. Alexander, great to see you as well. Joe, welcome. Joe, is the lake house all? Oh, of course. Do you go there at all in the wintertime?
No, not anymore. When we were young, sometimes we would have a winter weekend, but it's all closed up now.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I bet you can't wait for the heat and
No.
the boating time again. Welcome, Akila, Angela. Angela, I'm in your neck of the woods these days. I'm at my mom's place in Libertyville, Illinois, really close to the Wisconsin border.
Well, my sincere condolences because you're probably dealing with this bitter cold that I am, and it's horrible.
It is very cold, although I don't know that it's that much better in New York right now. You guys, what's it doing there, Alyssa?
No, it's freezing here. I got $15 worth of gas yesterday, which I never do, but I was just too cold. And so I pumped a couple gallons and I was like, nope, it's good enough. I'm done.
Oh, that is funny. Yeah, I was in Iowa yesterday driving to Illinois, and it was even colder there, but the gas was cheaper, and I was just kicking myself. It was like 280 in Iowa, and then it was 311 in Illinois, and I thought, "Oh, I should have just braved the cold and gotten it in Iowa." Welcome, Kathy and Michelle. Carla, oh my goodness, Carla from Canada is here. So good to see you. And Allison, oh, Allison, we're really close right now too. Yeah,
I was
good to
just going to say, Connie, none of you can complain about the cold because you know how far north I am. And like, just saying.
Oh, I don't know how you do it. Carla's in Alberta, and oh boy, I can't even imagine. Oh, Sarah Lynn, haven't seen you in ages either. So good to see you here. And Claire, Brian, Belinda, Eileen, Shayna, everyone, thank you so much for coming in today and joining me on this program. It's so inspiring to see each of you. And I know I don't know everybody here, but I know so many of you and know how dedicated you are to your businesses. And just really want to congratulate you for just taking the time to do some more work on it. I know many of you have already done some planning already for 2025, and to be here now to do maybe some fine tuning, maybe get some new ideas for your business, whatever that might be. I'm just really happy to have you all here. So let's kick this off. And in fact, I find it so interesting, the group of people we have here. If you would just share in the chat where you're from and the type of work that you do. I recognize most of you here, but I see some new people, and I'd love to know about the work that you do and try to tailor this as much as possible to your business. Yes, and feel free to include your contact information. Michelle, thanks for kicking that off there as well. All right, love it. Oh, Ottawa, Buffalo, Bermuda. Oh, Belinda, I think most of us here are very jealous of you right now.
Sorry, I didn't think to speak up earlier.
Oh, that's fabulous. Heike, so good to have you here from Switzerland. Boston. Oh my goodness, my husband just got back from there. They had a basketball game there. We have a lot of New Yorkers here in the house. So good to have you. Okay, Seattle. Interesting. We have a lot of HR people here today. I also have an HR consulting background, so good to see you here. Stafford, all right. Well, thank you for sharing. Keep it coming. Love to see people from all over. All right. So we're here, as I said, to work on your business development. But before we begin with the planning, with the strategizing, I want to emphasize one thing. So, as I've been preparing for an in-person workshop, the one I mentioned with Jessica last week, and for this one today, it has really hit home for me how important, and not just important, it's absolutely critical to include in your business planning activities that bring you joy. And Carla, I know you are all about this in your work. She brings joy to everything that she does, and I know many of you as well do. But really be thinking about this. I know we're here to talk about business, but I'm talking about life activities because what is the point of all of this work? What is the point of the work, the planning, if it's not to make the most of our lives, right? To provide the support, the resources, the time, the finances to do what we love and be with the people we love. You hear that old adage, we work to live, not the other way around. But I think so many of us find ourselves doing it more the other way, living to work. Particularly here in the U.S., there's such a driving energy out there around work, and I really want you to focus right now as well. We'll obviously be talking about business, but your lives as well. And I'm bringing this up and I'm emphasizing this more than ever because I haven't been able to stop thinking about this because most of my family is in the LA, California area. And for those of you that are here in the US, you know there's been some horrible fires there last week, continuing into this week. And as Jessica heard me say last week, 3 of my family members and their families have lost their homes. They've lost their church, they've lost their village, their communities, right? It's been a horrible time. And there are at least 4 other family members that are still at risk. Those fires are still going on. And I know as I look around the room, I know that others of you here have also experienced tragedies in different ways, right? For some of you, it might be some kind of health scares. Oh my gosh, Alexander's here from Ukraine, going through years of turmoil now, right? Everybody has just, had a lot happening. And I think that is just such a reminder that our lives are fragile, right? Life is short. It's precious. So I really want you to think as we're going through talking about business that the ultimate aim here is to live as fulfilling and happy of a life as is absolutely possible. So I want you to include that in your planning. And as I'm going through this program, I'm going to be reminding you about that as we go through in certain areas of this. And these are some of the reasons why. So, thank you, Jillian. Thank you. All right. So get back a little bit to business here. For those of you who may not know me, there are a couple of names here I'm not familiar with. I'm so glad that you're here. My name is Connie Whitesell. I am a business strategist and coach. I've been doing this work for, let's see, this will be 14 years now. And prior to that, I had an HR consulting business for another 14 years that I sold. I work primarily with business owners and professionals who are mainly on their own in their business. Often they're handling everything in their business with very little or no help whatsoever. Almost all of them are business owners. They've usually been in business for a while. They love what they do. They're good at it. But often after a period of time, they've hit a plateau. So what my work comes down to is helping them overcome that upper limit, that plateau that they may have hit, and helping businesses grow faster. So as many of you know, my business name is Scattered to Streamlined Business Coaching, and that is exactly what I do. I take business owners from a state of feeling scattered and overwhelmed to being streamlined in their work so they can be more profitable and more productive faster. Those go right hand in hand. So today, I want to give you the main highlights of my scattered to streamline process and have each of you feeling a bit more streamlined and on top of your work as well. And honestly, frankly, if you just follow along today and work through, I'm really just going to be going through a series of questions with you. If you just go through these questions, give them consideration, we're going to create the bones of your 2025 plan. The most important aspects of that plan. Just having done that, being here for this hour and going through this and taking notes and thinking about the future of your business, you will be ahead of 75% of the business owners out there who just never take that time. Think about this. I'm sure each of you have experienced being in a situation where you are so involved in the business. It's really hard to find the time to work on the business and do this type of planning. So again, kudos to you for being here. Particularly, as many of you know, you've been through some of these programs before. There are a number of my current and past clients here. You know that I love to focus on quarters, not the full year, because I find quarter by quarter is so much more impactful than doing one annual plan and then hoping you stick with it for the rest of the year. So I focus on quarterly planning because it incentivizes faster action, right? If you're thinking right now about a December goal and you say you just have a crappy January or even a February, you say to yourself, well, you know what? There's still 10 months left. There's still 11 months. I've got plenty of time. Whereas if you're thinking about March 31st, that is a heck of a lot closer. So it incentivizes all of us to move forward, to take action. And that's why I'm going to be speaking. We'll look at overall. We do want to look at the overall vision for the year, but then getting really focused on first quarter. And by doing that, I really encourage you to do this on a quarterly basis. Do 4 planning sessions a year. It's going to get you to your goals and your vision so much faster. Statistics have shown that businesses with a plan reach their goals 30 to 50% faster than those that don't. So think about that. If you have this vision or a goal for your business at the end of the year, wouldn't that be fabulous to hit it, say in August or September or October? And that can be anything. That could be a monetary goal, but it could be something else, maybe moving to a new workspace or building a team, whatever that is. But by doing this planning, it's helping you move that much faster along. All right, I hope that you have something to write on. You will want to take notes during this program. If possible, handwrite it. There's a special magic to handwriting things, to keeping it in mind. Right, Heike? I see you. Yeah, there truly is. And so we'll be going through this. This program will last about an hour, and then there will be a half an hour following for Q&A afterward that you're welcome to stay on here for. Oh, Allison, thank you for saying that. It's absolutely top priority. You'll hear me talk about the category of personal management, where we talk about well-being and balance and how important that is, right along with those business goals. So thank you for sharing. All right, let's get into this. Let me pull up some slides here and we'll start doing some Q1 planning. Many of you know, I am really horrible with chat when I have slides going. So if you have a question or if you have a comment about anything, please feel free to interrupt me. We have a small enough group here where we can do that. If possible, keep the questions until the end of the session if you can stay, but I completely understand if you'd like to come in. I likely will not see the chat while the slides are going, particularly because I'm traveling and I have my laptop with me, which is just driving me insane right now, but you'll still get the point and the benefit of all of this. All right. We do want to start big picture. 2025. By the end of the year, here's my first question for you. What needs to happen by December 31st 2025, for you to feel your business was successful this year? So I'd love for you to take just a moment to jot down some thoughts that come to mind. And I am encouraging you to clearly, we want to think about your business, but also think about your life personally and how your business will impact your life. So some of this may be financially related. It may be a revenue goal. It may be a profit goal. But it may be that your business is set up so that you have more time to enjoy your family, to enjoy hobbies that you haven't been able to participate in or do in quite a long time. I know for some of you, not all of you who are business owners here. Alyssa here being an attorney, right? Billable hours are very important. And you have a very active family and an active life, as most people here, right? So what needs to happen by the end of this year for you to feel like, boy, this was a killer year. I am so happy in both my business and my life. So I'll give you a minute to jot down some notes there. All right, we've got some gears spinning here, and please continue with these thoughts, getting a little bit deeper into it's the end of the year, December 31st, 2025. You've achieved this vision. Now, what's the impact of having achieved that vision? What difference is this now making to your clients, to you, to your families, to your team, to anyone that you have contact with? Internally for you, has it changed some feelings about yourself, maybe around your confidence in things? So take another moment and jot down some notes about when you achieve this vision. What is the impact of all of that? It's not just about a number. It's not just about achieving a particular goal. What happens as a result of that? I encourage you to take a little more time after this program to go in even deeper into these questions and the other ones that I'll cover. But in the interest of time, I'd like to keep moving forward with a final question related to your vision of who do you need to become to achieve that vision? For many of us, we need to make a shift in who we are and how we present ourselves to achieve that vision, both to ourselves and to others. So thinking about one thing that my clients and I have been talking quite a bit about in the last year or so is embracing a CEO mindset. As solopreneurs, as people who are working on our own, sometimes it's easy to lose sight that you truly are the CEO of your work. You are the big picture person, as well as working in the business. But right, you are the one that is setting the vision for the business. You, on a daily basis, it's so helpful to bring yourself forward from that mindset of being a CEO. So maybe it's something like that. Maybe it's somebody who sets better boundaries around their time. I can't tell you the number of people I speak with who are overwhelmed in their work. And it just, not just in their work, but in their lives as well, right? There's so much happening. And oftentimes the biggest thing that makes an impact is setting some boundaries around time, energy. So maybe it's a person who sets more of those boundaries. I have a new client who's an absolute workaholic, and he's only been married for a couple of years now, and already he's starting to see a negative impact on his marriage, right? So part of his plan, one of the top things, is who does he need to become in improving his life and his business moving forward. Now, it doesn't even have to be work related. For me, for this year, when I answer this question, and I go through all of this on my own as well, for me, I need to become a hiker, because I know when I was a hiker in years past, I was really taking care of myself. And that meant that the foundation of everything was strong. So it could be something like that, something that you do personally or need to be personally that brings the best you forward professionally as well. So just take a couple of moments here, jot down any future or any additional notes that come to your mind around this vision. What is the vision? What is the impact? And who do you need to become? All right. Now we are going to start doing a bit of reverse engineering, bringing this a little bit closer in time frame. Going to the thought of first quarter, which we've already started. We're halfway through January now, but we've got a 2.5 months left. What do you feel you need to achieve in your business by the end of March, by the end of this quarter, to feel like you're on track for achieving that 2025 vision for your business? Now, for some people, this is really easy. Perhaps your main vision pertains to a monetary goal. Just for example's sake, say it's $100,000 in revenue, and maybe it's easy for them. They just divide it by 4. So fourth quarter, they need to bring in $25,000. For some people, right, I work with a woman who's a founder of a dog rescue, and for her, it's adopting out a certain number of dogs, right? So it could be different for each person. Could be money, could be something else, could be maybe that you've set up an ideal or a model work week for yourself, and you've stuck with it for 12 straight weeks, and you're starting to see the results of that. For me, wanting to be a hiker, maybe it's that I've hiked at least 100 miles by March 31st. What about for you? By March 31st, what do you need to achieve to feel like you're really on track for that 2025 vision? As you're jotting down these thoughts, it may be that you have noted several items here, several things that you'd like to achieve or accomplish by the end of the quarter to feel you're on track. I'd like you to look at that list, if you have a list, and highlight or put a star next to the absolute number one priority goal for first quarter of all of those there. What is that number one that will really make a difference for your business in achieving your vision for the year. Usually there's one or two that stand right out. In the interest of being as streamlined as possible, we're going to focus on that goal as we move forward today. You can always plan for the other ones later on, but giving this one attention, both now in your planning and soon in your implementation, is going to make the biggest difference. So go ahead and highlight that number one goal. And then I'd like you to think about this next question. For first quarter, what are the most impactful actions you can take to get you to that Q1 goal that you've just highlighted? You can address the rest later, but for that number one goal, what are the most important strategies, action steps you can take in first quarter to get you closer? Now, I'm going to come back to this question, but I'd love to give you some areas of business and some questions around these areas to think of and to think about as you're considering these most impactful actions. So most of you know, when you're doing a planning session with me, we go through 5 aspects of a business. We go through your services and products, and in no particular order, your operations, your marketing and sales, your finances, and your personal management. And for each person, I find they have a different order of priority of those categories. So I'm going to go through the order that I see these most coming up in the order with my clients as top priorities. But I'm going to give you a list of questions to consider. It's going to be pretty rapid fire, right? Again, in the interest of time, but I think it's good doing it this way because you'll focus on what comes immediately to mind, what rises to the top as being important for your business. Now, you're likely to have a whole lot of different ideas. They're not all going to be appropriate for first quarter or for that Q1 goal. So you can make some notes about those, but keep honing in as you're thinking about these things. What can I do in first quarter that will get me closer to that Q1 goal? And then we can plot out those other activities for future quarters, but really focus on what comes first to mind as I go through these questions with you. Very briefly, I'm going to talk first about services and products because that's a foundational area of your business. As you think about the work that you do, is there something that you need to improve about your services and products? So, are there particular, and again, all of these questions will not pertain to each person. So really just focus on what resonates with you and don't worry about the rest. But are there some things about your services or products that need to be added to, maybe eliminated from what you offer, maybe tweaked somewhat? Maybe your packaging or your pricing needs to be changed a bit. I know we have some coaches on here where you're determining the way you package it, the services that you do, and some other consultants I see here where this can come in really handy. For those who don't have control over the services that you offer, I think about financial advisors, attorneys who are here. Perhaps in this area, is there a way that you can improve the client experience as they're working with you? Are there ways that you've been thinking of that could make that experience from onboarding through completion of a project smoother, easier, more impressive to that person, more helpful in a way that makes you stand out as a service provider? It may be that with your services and products, maybe you need to take a look at pricing or the way they're packaged, whatever that might be. Just thinking about your services and products, are there ways that need to be improved? Keeping in mind, are there things first quarter that will move your business forward in this category? So we want to just focus on first quarter and top priority within this category. So if you have a few things, highlight the most impactful activity that will help move your business forward. For each person, it can be different. The second category that is one of the categories that normally rises to the top when I'm meeting with people about their businesses has to do with marketing and sales. So this could be a full day workshop. It could be a week, as many of you know, but I'm just going to focus on just some highlights of this to consider. As we think about marketing, we think about, you've heard about the funnel, the know, like, and trust factor. I'm going to bring it down to those terms as well, right? At a certain level in that funnel, there's some way that people find out about you in the first place. Think about that for yourself. How do people find out about your business typically? Think about past clients who have come to you, current clients who are coming to you. How do they find out about you in the first place? And does that marketing activity need to be optimized or improved in some way so that more people know about you and your work? Now, in looking around the room, I think for many of you, your number one source of business is probably through referrals, either from past clients or from other people who perhaps work with your ideal clients. If that's the case for you, are there ways that you can improve the referrals that are coming to you? Can you perhaps be talking with more people, letting them know, talking with past clients, letting them know that you're looking for people like them to help support? Do they know anyone that could use your services? It could be thanking your referral sources for the wonderful business that they've sent to you. For some of you here, I know people find you on the internet. So is your Google business profile, is that optimized, or is that something that can be improved? Right, there's so many different ways that people can find out, advertisements, depending on your business, so many ways. But for you, just thinking about you, how do people find out about you, and are you optimizing that marketing activity? And then let's start thinking about that funnel as it funnels down. The know, like, how do they start to like you more? To start thinking, ooh, this is somebody that probably could help me or could help someone else that I know. What are the marketing activities at that level? Typically at this level, this is where people may be exchanging their emails. Maybe you have a lead magnet, something that you offer to them for free in exchange for their email. You're providing something of value. There's a conversion going on there. People are becoming more of a qualified lead at this level. So what is that activity for you? And are you optimizing that? For many of us here, I'm looking around, I see you teach, you do workshops, you do these kinds of things, master classes. That's a great way for people to get to know more about your work, to trust you more, to like what you're doing, to see whether they could work with you in a particular way. So it could be teaching, it could be, we have a lot of networkers here, people who belong to networking groups. So networking might be the way that people find out about you, they know about you, but how they get to like you is when you have the one-to-ones, when you do the coffee chats, get together in person, get together online, develop those relationships. Are you doing enough of that? That third level, that trust level, and there's obviously, in some cases, there's overlap in activity. Sometimes someone can go straight from no to buying, but think about that trust level. And the number one thing that comes to my mind when I talk about this are reviews, testimonials, recommendations. People are finding you online. Have you been asking people to put reviews on your Google business profile? Have you been asking people to write recommendations on your LinkedIn profile? Do you have testimonials that are out there? That kind of social proof can really make a difference. But there are other activities too. The whole trust factor can come into play if you're teaching. But the number one that I hear of and I think about the most, and it's been really interesting, Kevin here. Kevin is my right-hand guy. Thank you so much for being here, Kevin. We were just talking before coming on here. My number one source of clients has always been through networking, developing those relationships, the conversations, and referrals. All of a sudden, I've been getting internet inquiries. And it's because Kevin's been working on my Google business profile. He's been making sure that it's optimized, that we keep posts on it on a regular basis, and it's really making a difference. So anyway, thinking for yourself, do you know what those activities are at the know, like, and trust level, and is there any way you can improve them? Final thing with marketing, even if you know what that activity is, you feel like it's optimized, you're doing a good job with it, are you being consistent with it? the area I find over and over again is that people know what they should be doing with regard to their marketing, but they're not doing it consistently. It's haphazard. So, as many of you know, I am a huge tracking fan. Determine for yourself, okay, how many networking events are you going to go to a month? How many one-to-one conversations are you going to have with someone a week? How many posts are you putting out there? How many videos do you need to do? How many podcast interviews do you need to do? Whatever that is, make sure that you're setting a goal for yourself and tracking it to make sure that you're keeping consistent with this activity. I'm sure we've all experienced times where we take our foot off the gas pedal for a little bit and you see business go down in the next month or so. So we want to make sure that there's that consistency in your marketing as well. Now, when we talk about the sales component, some things to keep in mind. Have you looked at your conversion ratios? So have you looked at those numbers? Say you have, like I know that if I network once a week minimum, and if I have at least 4 to 6 conversations a week, my schedule is going to be consistently filled with clients. So what about for your business? Whatever that activity is, what is the ratio? Do you know how many times you need to do something in order to gain a sale? So how many leads do you need to have and then have conversations with to convert into a sale into your business, right? So thinking about those numbers related to your sales, because when you know that, you can reverse engineer. You can know how many posts you need to do, conversations, referrals you ask for to keep the business flowing. So that may be something that you need to look into a little bit more in first quarter. And the other thing, the 2 things I see come up so much in marketing. Number one, people are not talking enough about their business. They're not out there sharing about what they do. They think they're bothering people by doing that. And in this world of noise, no one is bothering anyone. People are just starting to see you when you think that they're being bothered by you, right? So related to that, just being out there in the first place, there's that. And then there's also asking people to work with you. Are you out there making offers and sharing with people what you do and saying, hey, would you like to have a conversation about this and see if what I do can help you, can be of value to you? Are you putting offers out there enough? Not just even to work with you, to have a conversation with you, to look at a newsletter that you wrote, whatever that is. So the consistency, the making offers, being out there, are you doing that enough? And if not, what can you do in first quarter to improve your marketing and sales efforts? This area can have the biggest impact in your business for a number of people and in your work. All right, third category, and again, I'm going through these relatively quickly, so just jot down what comes to mind for you in these areas. And these are not in order of priority, right? Personal management. Here is where we need to have in the plan that you're taking care of yourself, your physical, mental, and emotional health, and that you're making the time for the activities that fill you up, that make you feel that joy, make you feel that happiness. I know we have readers here in the group. Are you getting enough time to just sit down and read? Or just sit down and meditate and dream, things that go hiking, whatever it is that fill you up, spend time with your family. Whatever that may be, enough time in your schedule so that that comes first before anything else. I also talk about when it comes to personal management, right? This is management of self. Here's where we talk about, are you as productive and focused as you can be? There's so many distractions out there in the world. So and our time is so limited. So when you think about that, are you, when you have the time, being focused? And I have to tell you, this is driving me crazy. And I think many of you know what I'm about to say. What would I normally pull out right now when I'm talking about personal management to show you? Just take yourself off mute because I know you all know.
Hourglass.
Hourglass.
Yes. Yeah. So that is my number one focus tool. It's this, it's this pretty hourglass. It's actually only 30 minutes that when I need to be focused, I put the phone on airplane mode. I tell whoever's around to leave me alone, to put the dogs in another room. I turn that over. I focus entirely on whatever that project is that needs to get accomplished, right? It's a focus tool. You can use a timer. You can use Pomodoro method, whatever it is. Are you using some kind of focus tool to help you when you are every day to sit down to get those most important tasks and activities done? The other thing that is so helpful, and I've already had 2 conversations about this with clients today, is having some kind of schedule for yourself. Having a model week that you follow that allows you the time, number 1, to get those joy activities in, but then number 2, to get those next most impactful activities in your business done. It can change over time, it can change over season, but those kinds of that ideal schedule, having boundaries around your time makes such a difference. And I'll give you a quick example. For me, many of you have heard me talk about this. Mondays are my admin days. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday are my client service days and my marketing days. Fridays, I typically take off and I work Saturday mornings. That whole thing is changing now because I'm finding I need to travel much more and I need to be away and I need to be focused on family and other places now. So going forward, my plan is to take the last week of every month off for that. Now that means off from calls, those sorts of things. There are still some big picture things that I'll be working on in my business, but I've needed to make that shift. So for you, do you have an ideal or a model week schedule that works for you and works for you now? Gives you plenty of white space because emergencies always come up. That's an area that you may need to work on. I'm not saying for everyone here, but it may be an area to consider when you're thinking about your personal management. Other areas, this is also where we think about embracing and empowering mindset. I know we have some mindset people here. This is so important. Not just embracing an empowering mindset, but when you're really down or when something's really frustrating you and you're just having one of those days, do you know what you need to do to make that shift? Because you have to show up for your family, because you have to show up for your business priorities and your clients, right? Personal management, management of self. How can you improve that in your business to make your business stronger? Next category, operations. I'm just going to quickly go through this. This is everything that happens behind the scenes, right? Do you have the people that you need to help you, both within your business and outside as advisors, right? If you need a good small business attorney, Alyssa's your person to contact, right? You need people outside, accountants, bookkeepers, coach, whatever that is. Internally, do you need to build your team, right? Colleen's doing a fabulous job building her team of agents under her agency. So for your business, what could help you achieve that vision people-wise? Secondly, do you have the systems and processes in place to run your business as efficiently as possible? To me, the more systematized a business is, the more profitable they are. There are so many things that you're doing in your work that are repetitive, that you're doing over and over again, and that sometimes you forget about steps. Do you have a system in place? Is it documented? Are you using the technology that could make things more efficient, right? This is what we're thinking about when it comes to operations. Can you improve your equipment, your physical space, your software, whatever that might be behind the scenes to help support you? Do you have a Kevin, or do you need somebody like a Kevin to help support you in your business, right? These are all aspects to consider when you're thinking about operations. And then last, but certainly not least, your finances. A lot of business owners try to avoid this topic, and we just can't get away from it, right? Especially this time of year as we're getting ready for tax season and getting our numbers together. But are you on top of those numbers? Are you looking at your income and expenses, your P&L on a monthly basis? They are so informative to your business. The income shows where your clients are coming from, what services of yours they just love to purchase from you, what expenses are getting out of hand and can be cut. If your business is seasonal, how can you forecast so things are a bit more evened out, right? Knowing the story behind the finances. Now, obviously, in the interest of time, I'm going through this all very, very quickly. I do have a workbook that includes this information. So if this is something that you'd like to explore more in depth after the program, we're going to include in the recording that's coming out in an email after this. Just reply back and let me know if you'd like the workbook, and then you're welcome to work through some of these questions yourself to develop this plan even more. But I just want you to get a sense of these different areas of your business. And as you're hearing what I'm saying here and highlighting and jotting notes about what's important, I want to come back to this initial question. What are the most impactful actions you can take in these next 3 months or 2.5 months to get you to that Q1 goal? So considering everything you've written down, maybe prioritize those categories. What category is rising to the top? Is it marketing? Is it personal management? Is it something else? And then what very streamlined 1 to 3 activities can you focus on this quarter to improve to help get you closer to your Q1 goal? Don't lose all of those other ideas. You can do those after these initial action steps are taken, whether it be in this quarter or in future quarters, but let's get really focused on Q1 and what will have the biggest impact. And I'm going to give you just a few moments here to highlight, to star what some of those activities are.
Hey, Connie, while people are doing that, a quick question.
Yes.
Professional development, where do you put that in here?
I put professional development under personal management.
Okay.
But I'm glad you asked that, because oftentimes people will think about something like, say, professional development. Maybe somebody might think, well, that improves my services, right? So
Yeah.
you could think about that for services and products. It doesn't matter to me where you put that. Wherever it makes the most sense to you is where it should be, right? Oftentimes there's overlap between those categories. So Sarah Lynn, where did it come up for you? Where were you thinking?
I made it a number 6. Like
Oh, a
or
separate
number
one.
5 or what? Yeah, like I just made it especially because it relates to certification and keeping your PCC, and I just did my ACTC and so on. But then I'm like, oh, because it's not personal management, it's not mindfulness and so on. It's a strategic investment to ensure that because I'm the product, that the product is at its ideal. So if I was to choose within, for me, I would put it either in services and products, or I'd put it in finances, because that's ultimately where it lays out, right?
Thank you for sharing that. That's a perfect example. So you put it
Yeah.
where it makes the most sense. Just make sure, as
Yeah.
that is so important, that that's a highlighted one. Yeah,
Thanks.
great question. Thank you for asking. Okay. My gosh, time goes by so quickly. We're going to keep reverse engineering here. What about this month? And I'll say, since we're midway through January, let's just say through February, in the next month and a half. What action steps will you take that will get you closer to your Q1 goal? Actually, as I'm saying that, I'm thinking, yeah, do it for the next month and a half. I'm going to back up because of the next question there. But jot down some notes here of what actions you'll take by the end of February to achieve that Q1 goal. My suggestion to you as you dive deeper into this, and I do encourage you to, after this program, to take some more time with this, is inevitably you probably have a lot listed under each of these questions. just keep thinking about streamlining and what is the top priority? What is the number one thing that I can do? And keep bringing it down. Eliminate the others. Focus on one thing at a time as you're developing your plan. And one way I found that is very helpful for plotting out these action steps, because they're particularly given these categories, there may be many things that you'd like to do to improve your business, whether it be in first quarter or future quarters. I encourage you to create some kind of a timeline for these activities. Here is a sample. I'd actually, if you'd like, you could even just look at the left side of this, Q1 2025. So for each of these categories, and if you want, you can take a screenshot of this, or I'll send you the template. We'll offer that in the email as well. I can send this to you. It's just a spreadsheet that you can work with. But thinking about Q1, all right, what needs to be done each month of Q1? Your business categories right now, they're in this order, but I would put them in your top priority order. So if marketing and sales is the area that needs the most attention, put that as the top category. If personal management is the second, put it as the second one, however that falls out for you. And then plot out your tasks. Often what happens, and this happens for me every time I do my planning too, is I can do this next week. I can do this in the next 2 weeks, each category. Oh, sure. And then when you plot it all out, January is just jam-packed, and forget having any kind of a life, right? So make sure you take the time to do this so you can see if you're overwhelming yourself right away. So you can move things out a little bit into the calendar to make things more reasonable, more easy to achieve, more efficient. This is one way of doing it with a timeline. I also love it when people use the post-it method. Now, clearly this was for a fourth quarter, but you get the idea. I just loved what the person did with this. Each category has a different color post-it. And then you would have January, February, March, and you'd stick those up there and you could move them around. And as you're accomplishing things, you can move them off. It's a great visual. Just have that flip chart up in your office so you see it every day. It's a great way to keep on track of things. But I really encourage you to take the time to go through this process, go through these categories, plot this out. Just by doing this, you will know exactly what you need to do moving forward in first quarter to grow your business. What's going to have the biggest impact? And just like I said earlier, as you're putting these up there, keep streamlining. What's number one? What's the top priority activity that I can do to move myself forward? Related to that, we keep reverse engineering. There's an old saying that says, as you pray, move your feet. And I like the tailored version, as you plan, move your feet. You can plan for days, but taking action is the most important thing. Moving your feet, taking action. So what will you do this week to move you forward toward your Q1 goal? Right? So you've been jotting down these ideas, you've been highlighting, you've been narrowing them down. What will you do this week to move you forward? And who will you be this week? Remember that question I asked early on. Who do you need to become to achieve the highest version of yourself and your vision for your business in 2025? What can you do this week to embrace that person? What's one small step you can take that you can incorporate into your life to be that person and to move your business forward? So I'll give you a few moments to jot down some notes here. Again, as I mentioned before, take some more time to dive into this a little more deeply. Many of you have heard me talk in the past about taking yourself on a mini business planning retreat, right? Whether it's setting aside just a couple of hours or a half day or even a weekend to go through this in more depth, it's really going to help you think through and really create the business that's of your dreams. And that's what's most important. It doesn't matter what anybody else is doing, but what's most important for you, and taking that time to delve into it and get really excited about your business for the new year. Before we get into Q&A, I would like to give you a little added incentive to move you forward in these activities to grow your business. So I talk about this Q1 timeline, January, February, March. If you send me a draft of your timeline, and it can just be written down on a sheet of paper, January, February, March, here are the categories, jot down notes of what you're going to do. It could be a spreadsheet, could be a picture of a post-it note. If you send me this draft of your Q1 timeline, and make sure your joy activities are included on this, schedule a 20-minute strategy session with me, and I will help you. I will pinpoint the top 1 to 3 activities that are going to have the biggest impact in your business. I'd love to see you move forward with that timeline. I'll also share about ways that I can help you in your business to create that business that you have that great vision for in 2025. But I promise you that you're going to walk away knowing exactly what you need to do in Q1 in first quarter that will really make an impact in your business. So I'd love for all of you to take advantage of this. Here is a way you can do this. Many of you have my contact information. We'll include it on the email that goes to you. That QR code that you see there, if you want to just take a snapshot of that, will link you directly to my calendar to set up that call. If you do it by the end of January, happy to help you to make sure that you're on track for your business. And as I mentioned, if you'd like the guide, just reply to that email as well, and I'll be sure to send you the link to that, the timeline, anything else that I might have referenced that would be helpful for you in moving forward in your business. All right, for those of you who are not staying for the Q&A, I just want to thank you so much for being here, for devoting this time to focusing on your work and your business and making it better. And too early for a glass of wine, but cheers to a fabulous 2025. And then for the others that would like to stay to have more of an open discussion and Q&A, please do. I can catch up a little bit on the chat here. Oh, Alyssa, oh my gosh, I love your model month. You're still using it. Thank you for explaining it as well. Claire, glad that helped. Oh, yes, Alyssa, she is the spreadsheet queen. So I remember that. You developed an amazing timeline for that. Okay, good. All right. Well, tell me, what's coming up for you? First of all, does anyone have any questions? If you're still thinking about questions, what are you most excited about in your business? What's coming up for you as you think about your vision? And you can just take yourself off mute. Whether it's a goal that you have for your vision, maybe who you will become in the new year. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. What popped up for you in your business that gets you really excited for the new year? Heike.
I can just go ahead because I'm planning a new program, so I want to create a completely new offer for a different audience, and I think this is really the right moment to start thinking also in these categories, yeah, because the most important one is, in my case now, is about marketing and sales, and I have to get myself out there. I have to get, and as you say, how do people find me? How do I talk about my program? How do I uh, get them to get a taste of what it means to work with me. And that's pretty scattered currently, also still in my head, like, oh, there's so many ideas that pop up here and there. And I know from my previous experience that you can quickly get lost in those many ideas, and then you do none really thoroughly. So, and that's why I'm very happy to have this session here with you now. It's just like to get.
So Heidi, what comes to mind then when it comes to marketing for how will you get the word out there about your new program? What are you thinking?
So I'm thinking on in one thing is do more videos, do more talking, going live, and then using my existing network that is out there, because so currently I work with leaders, team leaders who lead international teams, and but a lot of them are based outside of their home countries. And now I want to address expat women and women only. Sorry for everybody else, but so women only, expat women, whether they work or whether they are partners of people who've been sent on assignments. And I can find them literally next to my existing client group. They are around those people.
Perfect.
So I can use my existing channels and then look on what else is there. Yeah.
Oh, and Heidi, I know you have such a strong network and you are not shy about reaching out to have conversations with people. I think that's a wonderful approach to getting the word out there. And I'm so glad you went to, you know where they are, right? That's so important that you're in the right place when you're doing your marketing activity. And it sounds like you know right where that is.
Yeah, but I just have to put myself out there, and it still is like a, ugh.
So what did you put down for the next week that you'll be doing? I'm curious, if you don't mind sharing.
So for the next week, there's one thing that I do. I need to sort out my banking system because I also work in different currencies and I get paid in different currencies. But a lot of these international banks that I use for this business banking, they don't work with the Swiss QR code banking system that we have. So I always still need something else. And I have it all mixed with my private accounts. So I need to sort this out because it takes too much time to every time when I do my financials to every time sort out between private and business. So I just got myself into a time consuming thing there. So that will be done this week. So
May I make a suggestion?
yeah.
Would you be willing to reach out to one person to have a conversation with about your business in the next week?
Yeah.
Okay. I'd love to see, as you said, the top action you can take is to talk with people about your work. Let's get the ball rolling on that, right?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And the next one is I want to have I want to have the invitations out for the first free calls. I want to offer free calls with me, and I want to have the invitation out because I already created the landing page with all the necessary information, and now I just want to get people invited to join me for a free call.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So you're jumping right into the marketing activity, and I'm sure having that event is going to be impactful as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Wonderful. Thank you for sharing. Anybody else have a question or something that they're excited about? It's so nice for all of us to hear what other people are doing because what Heidi just shared, those are things that are important for a number of us as well, right? In terms of getting the word out there about the work that we do, right? The focus on that, as well as being able to get paid. That's very important as well.
I can add Connie if you like.
Yes, Sarah Lynn, please.
Hi. My number one thing is to do the timeline. I was just listening to Hal Gregerson on coaching.com and the idea of going slow to go fast.
Mm-hmm.
And we constantly work with leaders, work with people. And I find in myself that I'm always staying in the short term. What's next? What's next? And while that's important for sure, what is required is to be able to say, okay, well, what do I want to accomplish over the next 5 years, 3 years, 1 year, and be able to see those long-term gains. And I didn't realize like CEOs in American companies, for example, their tenure is maybe 6 years on average. Like none of us sit anywhere for very long. And it's like, well, I want to accomplish something in 5 years. I want to be able to look back and check a box and say that was great. So there's something about that timeline and the different colored sticky notes, just to get really focused on, okay, what are you doing and why are you doing it? And get viscerally clear about that. And then the second part that lines up with that is having, I may use ChatGPT a bit for this, but having 2 or 3 really clear mantras or statements that I'm just repeating every day about my safety, my capability, my awesomeness. I don't know, I got to write them out, something, because everything, the financial systems, the whatever, like it will come, right? Of course, I'll put time into those things, but there's something here around the compounding effects of getting viscerally clear and therefore focus, like you always challenge us to do, Connie. It's so hard. Pick the one thing. Are you crazy? How can I do that? And got to do that, right? So it's like, okay, and what can compound over the next, over the next, over the next? Yeah. So that's where I'm getting focused. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. I can see that timeline working as you're going out. Like you were
Yeah.
saying, you're going out longer in time. You could do it by year, not
Yeah.
necessarily even by quarter or month, right? You could use that in so many ways, and it is wonderful to begin thinking that far, big picture.
Yeah. Thanks.
I'm glad you brought up chat too. I have found chat has become super helpful in coming up with action steps. So as you're thinking about actually, if I could share, I think I probably have this very close by. I'm kind of blown away by AI in a variety of ways on a day-to-day basis. And I don't know if any of you have used the app where you speak back and forth, you have a conversation with AI. It's quite remarkable. And I'm thinking, Sarah Lynn, as you were speaking about coming up with those mantras, having that conversation can be really impactful, really helpful, probably in coming up with something to help
Yeah.
you.
Well, and also using it in terms of the timeline. Like I really want to reach X amount of revenue, and having a conversation with your AI agent to say, okay, so what do I need to do now to be able to get there? And like being able to be in conversation with this digital labor that we all now have access to get ideas about what do I want to do? Yeah, exactly. To be able to create something like this, right? Like what's the plan here?
Right, right. This is something that I was playing around with. Now, I use chat a lot. It knows me. I don't have to put in the detailed prompts about speaking as a business coach, that kind of thing. But I have been thinking a lot about more video marketing. And I said, create a list of action steps with due dates over Q1 of 2025 to help me plan, design, and begin implementing a weekly video marketing campaign. And I thought, well, we'll just see what comes up. It came up with a very thorough, okay, January 1 to 15, you'll do all of these things. And I won't read through this, but it has the headings, it has subheadings, and there are things in here that I have not thought of. And I thought, oh, yeah, that needs to be in the plan. It's not that I'm going to implement this exact plan, but it really helped fill it in. So if you're looking for help as you're developing those action steps, I really encourage people to use AI to generate some additional ideas. Look at this. This is every 2 weeks. Phase 2 is design. Phase 3 is implementation. And then further on, I said, I want it in a table format. It did that. Next answer. And then I'm like, wait a minute, where did the details go? Put the details back. And within 3 generations, I had my action steps all fleshed out for Q3. So Sarah Lynn, thank you for bringing that up. We have this tool at our hands that's free, that does so much. So
Yeah. And it's got a whole bunch of ethical issues and scariness and all of that, but it's like it's a number one tool that has just changed the playing field. And so part of it around professional development for me is like, okay, what kind of digital labor do I want to be able to integrate? How do I interact with that digital labor? do I need Kevin for you to help me with that and with this and then be able to use that together? And, I work with Hope a lot, so it's different, it's the same idea. And it's just how, like you said, systems and how do I operationalize my business to be able to reach my goals. But first I've got to define like, what do I want? Because AI is not going to decide that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. Good. Well, thank you for sharing.
Thanks.
Anybody else? What's coming up for you that that you're excited about in your business or that will really make an impact in moving your business forward? Sarah, yes.
Yeah, so this was really helpful, and it reinforced something that my business partner had already been talking about, which was refining our message and marketing, which as I went over this, it like pointed back to what she had already been saying. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's what the biggest action step is. But then my next step was, it's like, oh yeah, that's it. And then the next step is like, yeah, but who's that person or who's that service, right? So I guess my question is, how do I move forward without getting lost in the process of picking the right person or service and move forward knowing that is the step that I need to take next?
Can you provide just a little more detail here for me?
Oh, on messaging and marketing. So just having somebody refine the product that we are offering and how we're communicating that to our ideal client, because we do think our messaging could be refined. And then getting help with the marketing, because as much as Pinterest and Instagram, as great as that is, it's getting a little flooded.
Yep.
And so having somebody guide us in the right direction. And so it's knowing that's what needs to happen, but then trying to figure out, okay, then how do you navigate that step of finding the right person? Because you could throw money at anyone,
Absolutely.
but you want to throw it at the quality, right fit person. So do you ever have advice for your clients on how to find the next best person for that step?
Yes. Yes. So two parts to that. Number one, around the messaging. I would actually set up some market research conversations with people you've already worked with and interview them and ask them their opinions of things that you're thinking about, because you've already probably generated some messaging, some things that you're considering. Maybe you have some on your website. People love to provide their opinion. They love your work, I know, and they would love to help you in this. So I would start from the perspective of your ideal clients, people who have already worked with you, to see what resonates with them, because I'm imagining you want more of those people, right? So go right to the source for them.
Okay.
On the finding the right person, and I'd love to open this up to others as well, because I know this is something that impacts a number of businesses here. The first thing that came to my mind was looking at other people who are out there whose messaging that you, excuse me, that you like. People that you know, perhaps, maybe other people, because I know you collaborate with a lot of people. And if you're looking at their marketing, you're really liking what you're seeing out there, asking them who they use.
Yes.
So you see right away that you have a connection, you like what they're doing. Anybody else have some suggestions here when you're looking for a service provider? And you're right, you could spend so much money. You want to make sure you're making the right investment.
Mm-hmm. I do like that idea that's a great idea. Like finding somebody who's marketing in a way that feels natural to us and then asking who that person is. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And I would use ChatGPT here. I'd throw in your messaging and ask it to refine, like put in your ideal client and what they are, describe that and test it. I mean, that's what AI is for, right? Is to be that first front line. And then I would also use ChatGPT to say, I'm trying to find someone. What do I need to look for? And then it'll take 3 generations of it, right? And it'll come out. But this is skilling up about being a prompt engineer to be able to figure it out. And then with that, I consider it like trying to find a plumber. It's referrals. Like, so, hey, Connie, who did you use? Hey, Joe, who did you use? Kathy, who did you use? Right.
Right.
And it's like geography, we don't need to worry about that anymore, right? Like that's 10 years ago. geography doesn't play into it. So
Right.
it's like you can get referrals from anywhere. But I think it's a really good point that the the social media that we're used to is not only flooded, but is about to be and is currently getting infested with rage bait, especially with Zuckerberg's new announcements that all content moderation is gone through all of Meta platforms and so on. So it's not so much for me, what skills do you have as a social media manager or someone? It's what skills do you have to be able to ask me the right questions so we can figure out where in the funnel that Connie said, right? To what is it, know, like, and trust, or whatever that is, to get me heard and seen in different ways. Because it's all about, and then as a business owner, for me anyways, it's about what are my bets about what's about to come. For me, my bets are that things are about to get quite relational and quite community oriented. And it's going to be about who you know, because you can't trust anything online anymore. That's what I suspect over the next year or two, things are going to go. I don't know if that's true, but it's like, for you as a business owner, what's your bet? Because nobody has the answer. And whoever you hire, they also don't have the right answers, right? Hence the risk of owning a business.
Thank you so much. I appreciate all of that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sarah Lynn and Sarah, for bringing the question. It's questions we can all relate to, for sure.
Hey, Connie, what are you betting right now with the landscape that you're seeing? Like, you do sales, you do marketing. Kevin, you also are in this world, right? Like, you're looking at the landscape, and at one time it was like, if you're not on Facebook, you're crazy not to be on Facebook. Like, right? There was a time for that and so on. But there is a whole different wave that is coming at us now. Like, what are you betting right now that it's the best maneuver forward?
I think it still depends on the business that you're in. I just had an exploratory call with somebody yesterday, and going on any kind of social media practically gives her hives. She absolutely hates it. And I said, well, then stay off of it, because you're never going to be impactful if that's how you're feeling. That's the energy that will come across. You won't be there posting consistently. There's so many other options out there. So while I'm online and I have a presence, very much thanks to Red Cape and Kevin helping me, it still to me is relationship building. It's still having one-to-one conversations and meeting with people in networking, whether it's in person, online, having those conversations. In my business, that's what is, I feel, for probably ever. That's the way I want it to be, is how I grow my business, is through that relationship building. That social media is not a critical part of that. So, Kevin, what are your thoughts around this? Because you market with so many people.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with what you're saying. And I think, just go back a little bit, I definitely think as far as like Chat GPT goes and AI, like we are still very much in the early stages of it. Like, almost if you're thinking about like the internet and you think back to like when we all had like AOL or dial up, like we're kind of that stage in AI. So like it's going to be crazy in the next few years in terms of marketing. I've even seen like where you can give it a like a couple minutes, either video or like your voice, and then it can recreate that and even recreate like your image and do videos for you. So I think in terms of marketing, you're definitely going to see a lot of that. But then, as more and more people use it, what's going to be the differentiating piece for you is going to be that relationship piece, like you mentioned. And that's going to be like the separator. So still having those relationships, still, connecting with people that way. It's just going to, you'll be able to use all of the AI, but still having that connection is going to be still valuable.
And so, what are the two of you seeing as the best form to be able to create those relationships? Referrals, retention, what else? Because people used to try to create relationship through Instagram posts, right? And it's about to get way too noisy, and algorithms are they're already, with the fires in LA, the fake news that's coming out, it's great. Seeing firefighters saving cougars, it's like, yeah, that's not happening the way, like, this really hot firefighter is not doing this, and you did not get it on camera with literally no flames behind the guy. So like it's like, okay, it's about to get really noisy, and it's, it already is. And so we say relationships are the way to go. And so how are you going about developing those relationships? Like, what is that way? Like, what are the watering holes people are showing up or you can anticipate people are going to be showing up to, I guess.
I'd like to open this up to others here too. What is coming to your mind as Sarah Lynn's bringing up these really important questions? Because you're right, you need to find, like you said, the watering holes. Where are they? Where are they hanging out? They're not only hanging out online. It's coming up for other people here.
Hi, this is Michelle. I think I just want to echo the nature of the relationships and the connection, and to your point, Sarah Lynn, around what is true anymore. And the only thing that we have control over is how people genuinely experience us. And so I think the forums by which that happens, it is the one-on-ones, as Connie mentioned. And I think speaking to the reality of the trust that people need to have. And so thinking about what experiences might the people that we're wanting to engage, honoring that sense of safety and trust, how can we foster that and be creative in the way that we do that, that differentiates ourselves from the traditional ways. So, and also that is aligned with our values and our brand. So I'm a huge walker. I do what I call net walking. So I'm networking with people while we're walking. Wellness is a big piece of my brand. My swag is all related to hydration as it relates to walking. I do Petty Purpose, which is coaching and walking. And so like I'm sitting here thinking, how can I convene people in a way that it's not just the trust for me, but the trust of the people that they're convening with. So I love gathering, and it is women. But I love gathering women for different networking and just bringing people together and organically letting those relationships and interactions happen. And so they're fostering trust with one another. I'm the impetus or the conduit to that. But ultimately, I want that brand for me of being a connector, a convener, and hope and trusting that business will come to me because I'm doing those kind of things.
And
I
Michelle,
don't know if that helps.
you do such a beautiful job of that. Michelle is such a bringer of people together. She's a connector. And so it's almost like if you can't find that ideal group, you create it, right? I've done the same thing. Others of us have done the same thing or can do the same thing. And where that relationship building is and the sharing of values is so critical, but you bring that community together. Sarah Lynn, where are your thoughts going with this as you hear the different ideas?
Yeah, authentic, differentiating, aligned with values and brand, curated spaces, connector, convener, find it or create it. It's like, yeah, that I'm totally aligned with what you're sharing. And the question is, how do people genuinely experience me? If I can answer that question, then I've got a marketing strategy that is not related to Instagram, right? Like Instagram can be like a website for me so that if people are trying to get to know me and then they use it, then they can go, but that's not where I'm going to get outside of my echo chamber. It's too noisy. I can't differentiate. I can't, right? But if I can create connecting community spaces or find where they are connecting and being curated, that's the bit.
Yep. And back
And
to
I,
your advice, you can use AI to help
Mm,
and
hmm.
find as just as a tool.
Yeah.
I think it
Yeah.
ties in what Sarah was talking about too, around so Sarah Lynn's question around how are people experiencing me in the conversations Connie and Sarah were having around checking in with the people that we have worked with and hearing directly from them, like what resonated with them about their experience with you. That then gives you insights around that, but then also becomes a marketing tool in terms of testimonials, but then also um, differentiating yourself from others because you know what has been meaningful to them, which I'm I'm absorbing all this too because this is something Connie and I talked about just a couple weeks ago around asking people for that um, so that I could use that in my own getting the word out about who I am and what I do.
That's great.
Sarah Lynn, I see you being a terrific teacher as well. And I think that would be such a great way for people to experience you and your authenticity as well. You know, creating that. I don't know whether it's a workshop, webinar, masterclass, some way of teaching. Maybe it's in your community. I'm not quite
Yeah.
sure what the setup is there, but I could see that being super impactful for what you do and drawing your people to you.
Yeah, I think that I appreciate that. Thank you, Connie. That's lovely. Appreciate you saying that. And that to me is something I've been noodling on over 2024, but it wasn't right or ripe yet. And now it's like that's why my first thing is on this wall putting up a timeline because it's like, yeah, it's moving in that direction for sure, that community-based
Well, Sarah,
interaction.
just from what I know about you and your background, you've been doing your business for some time. You're successful in your business. You have a network that you can
Yeah.
go to as well and talk with, and maybe past clients bring back or share with them more about your new work, and perhaps they know people. I feel like you have a strong network to even begin with that you could build relationships from, and those people already know and love you. So it's the
Yeah,
best.
the quality there is high. And I wrote that down earlier when you said, go back to your clients. And it's like, yeah, I need to do that. With what and how, like that's the plan. But I got to figure out that plan. But that's the strategy to do that. Leverage what I already have and like compounding interest, build off of it, right?
Love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, great. Yeah, great discussion. Really appreciate you all bringing forth your questions, your concern, your feedback, what you're seeing. This is all really important. We've got time for one more before we wrap up. If anyone has any comments or questions they'd like to share. All right. Well, I so appreciate each and every one of you being here. It's been just great seeing your faces individually and sharing together as a group of people from all over the world. I just appreciate each of you so much, and I'm grateful to see you. And I'm so glad that you're here working to bring your greatness and your genius work out into the world. I know that people they need you. And I just wish you all the best for an amazing 2025, both professionally and personally.
Thank you, Connie. Thank you, everybody.
You're welcome. Thank you. Take care.
Thank
Bye
you.
all.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.